Today I'm going to show you my favorite camera settings for the Autel Evo. Now these are just my favorite settings. You may not find these to be any bit useful, but I thought I would share it since I've been asked a couple of times of what settings I use when I go out and fly. So today I'm going to share that with you. Stay tuned. What's up everybody? Welcome back to Phones, Drones, and Tech. I'm Original Dobo, and if you're new here, consider hitting the subscribe button at the end of the video. Now, camera settings are very subjective, especially on any drone. You know, everybody has their own definition of what they want to see as far as their image goes. And yeah, so I'm just sharing my thoughts and sort of my experience with the Evo. And if today's audio is a little off, it's just because the Evo is running, you're probably hearing the fans. So basically, I am in the US, so I'm going to be filming in NTSC, which is basically the standard here for the States. Also, I keep my format in MP4. I use Adobe Premiere to do all my editing, so MP4 just works best for me. Plus two, I'm on a PC, so MP4 is just a better container for me. MOV would be great if you're using, let's say, an Apple product or a Mac. Use MOV. I always shoot in 4K. There's so much I can do with that when I need to like downscale or just, zoom in on something. 4K is what I, always shoot in when I can. If I can, I'll downsize to like 1080, 120, which still gives me a lot of room to work with. My frame rate, I always keep it at 60 FPS. I've wanted a 60 FPS travel drone. Now I got one, so I'm always shooting in 60 FPS. It's not always professional or cinematic, but I like the way it looks and it gives me that benefit that I can slow the footage down. I always shoot in manual. You will never find my drone not in manual, so manual is where it says, that's it. ISO and shutter is really going to vary depending on your time of day or your elements that you're working with. Typically, I try to keep my ISO as low as I can, along with the shutter speed double my frame rate. So if I'm shooting at 60, I'm probably going to drop the shutter speed down to 120, which will give me double the frame rate. With that being said, you are going to need some things like some ND filters here. The two sets of filters that I recommend that you would probably pick up, you have a choice between brands. You can either go with Polar Pro or Freewell. Freewell gives you a lot of bang for your buck, as to where with Polar Pro, you're only really getting 3 in a case. So keep that in mind. You're looking at $79.99 or $129 for much more. And then Freewell also has the smaller kits that don't cost quite as much. What I do want to talk about is white balance. White balance is really important, and it's something that's a little funky on this particular drone. I've noticed that the sunny white balance, whereas many will keep it, is just a little tinted of yellow. It's just got a yellow tint to that. So because of that, I will always default to the Kelvin settings. And now for Kelvin settings, you have quite a few options to choose from. Now, I'm not telling you that this is the end all be all best setting, but I keep mine at 5300 from the hours of, let's say, 3 p.m. to almost sunset. 53 to 5400 works really well, but it's something you'll have to toy with and see what your eye likes best. Again, what I like, you may not like, but I keep mine at 5300 because I think it looks perfect. As far as the color goes, I will always keep it at none. This drone is sort of finicky in a sense that it's either oversaturating things sometimes or not saturated enough. It's sort of weird. I really can't find that perfect balance. If I'm not in none, I do choose log, and log gives me a little bit more room to work with in post. But for the most part, you'll always see me shooting in none. I will do the slightest bit of color correction when I do my editing, but I keep it in none, and then my style is set to a custom setting. And let me go ahead and open this up. I keep my sharpness -1 because I think digital just overly sharpens things for some reason. And then I keep my contrast +1. I just like the way it looks. And then I don't do anything with saturation. Like literally, if you just go -1 on saturation, it just looks almost like log. So just leave it at saturation 0. If you really wanted to bump your saturation up, +1 will give you a little bit more of an enhancement and something that people would notice in the footage. But other than that, I always keep it at 0. I do a lot of post cleanup, so 0 works good for me. But that's it. Those are my camera settings. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Tilt this gimbal, I want to say like -6 or -7, because that 94 degree field of view, you can get props in the shot a little bit more than normal. But you know, 7-degree, 6-degree gimbal tilt will rectify that, along with some ND filters. You shouldn't have to worry about that. But all in all, with the software fixes that this has and the camera that it has, it's really producing a really fantastic image, and you don't have to do a lot to it. You can basically take it right out of the SD card and publish it if you want it to, and you're going to be happy with the results. Honestly, I have yet to get a really bad image off this camera. Sans tilt from the early days, I think this is probably the best camera on the market right now, as of today, that you can get for a consumer travel drone today. Now that may change as other drones are released, but today this is the best you can get. And again, that's just my opinion, so relax in the comment section, guys. But yeah, if you like this video, you found it helpful, make sure you hit that like button. If you didn't, that other button tends to work just fine as well. As always, guys, I'm Original Autel Evo, reminding you to stay original. I'll see you next time.